Well, off the back of yesterday's episode of the Leipzig Loko, we are still alive in the Europa League. Today we get a chance to make two straight European finals as we take on Lons in the semis. Hello everyone and welcome to episode 99 of the Leipzig Loko with Lokomotive Leipzig here on Sean Does FM. I hope you are doing well, and coming up today we take on Lons in the Europa League semi-finals over two leagues. Also an update on the latter stages of the Bundesliga season as well. So if you're looking forward to that coming up in today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and have been enjoying the series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated. But in today's episode, obviously, to make our way through to the semi-finals, we did take part in the quarters of the Europa League. It was against Real Betis. If you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. Yet again, picking up a pretty comfortable win in the first league before we actually lost the second league, but thankfully had a nice big buffer from that first league, so it did mean that did not matter too much. And coming up today, we take on a Lons team who did beat us back in the league phase of this competition, albeit it was last year in game. In fact, just trying to find exactly where it was right near the start of November, and that was when we were trying a direct counter-attacking style, which, to be fair, didn't really suit us. It did help us beat RB Leipzig prior, but we got thumped by Lons off the back of that. We changed back to this gegenpress we are now using, and off the back of that, as you can tell, our form since then has been a heck of a lot better, so hopefully we can put out a better performance today than what we did in that home league phase game all the way back in November. But before then, we have played two Bundesliga games off the back of yesterday's episode. Now into the last four games of the season. To be fair, all of them did look quite winnable. The toughest was the first one up, where we did take on Freiburg. This was the team, of course, that we did have to beat to get through the round of 16 in the Europa League, and thankfully got off to a good start here. Matthias Tell, from a very tight angle, somehow beats their goalkeeper there. Good work from him to give us a nice early 1-0 lead. It did stay that way for a large majority of the game, but then with about 20 minutes left, Matthias Tell yet again has a big hand in this one. Escobar squares that one nicely off his ball into the mixer, and Amadori, he picks up a goal. He did grab one back pretty shortly off the back of that. Viper here just makes his way inside the box. Granquil puts that far post for Stewart. A little bit poor in the air there, I felt, and also San Jose maybe should have been a bit better dealing with that at his near post, but thankfully that was all really that Freiburg did in that game. As you can see, stats-wise, definitely the better team, and we pick up a 2-1 win, and as I said, that was our toughest game of the last four, because off the back of that, the remaining three were against the teams all down the bottom of the Bundesliga table, starting off with Dynamo Dresden. And thankfully we picked up a very comfortable win in this game. It took us until just before half-time to get on the score sheet, but nice ball over the top there for Jordan Xerxes from James Baker, who came in for this game with Escobar being quite injury prone, so we took a 1-0 lead into the sheds. Then Amadori came off the bench as we tried to put this one to bed, and thankfully with one of the first highlights, once he did come on the field, he puts that one away at the far post, and then a really nice routine from a throw-in, and Jordan Xerxes helps us pick up in the end a quite comfortable 3-0 win, even though it did take us a long period of that first half, as you saw, to pick up that first goal. And also that's a good result because Dynamo Dresden did very, very little in terms of attacks. What that means going into our final two games of the season, one of which will take place in between this Europa League semi-final in today's episode, and that is against Hertha Berlin, who are all the way down in 16th. But it does mean we've actually got a really good shot now of trying to get ourselves into the Champions League for next season. We're just 1 point behind Wolfsburg. They do still have a game in hand, as do RB Leipzig above them, but of course those two teams play each other in their final two matches of the Bundesliga season. So if they do slip up on this next match day, there's a real chance for us there to overtake at least one of them, with them playing each other in those final two games that we are in now, with a pretty good shot of getting into the Champions League for next season. Could be a chance for us to make our third season in Europe be in the big show. So good things happening off the back of yesterday's episode, that 1-0 loss in that second leg to Real Betis, and hopefully today we can turn things around, as I said, from early November when we did last take on Lons, albeit these guys are doing very well in League on this season. They come to this off the back of a comprehensive 7-2 win over Hoffenheim in the quarterfinals. To be fair, Hoffenheim are down in the bottom half of the Bundesliga tables. Hopefully we put up a bit more of a fight, but these guys all the way up in second in League On, it does look like, that is where they will finish. They're not too close to PSG, but certainly have been the best of the rest there in France this season and come into this one in a very good patch of form. Obviously, though, that change in tactical style since we last played them hopefully does mean that we can pick up a good result and make our way into back-to-back European finals, of course, off the back of picking up the Conference League last season. The other semi-final is between Arsenal and Real Sociedad. It's fair to say Arsenal are the red-hot favourites to pick up this Europa League, but hopefully we can meet them in the final and just see if we can push them close. That would be a good indicator, at least, if we would have a decent chance potentially in the Champions League next season, albeit that might be a little bit unlikely unless we do get quite a good transfer budget. Come the end of it this season, we're playing our best 11 for this game. Thankfully, no suspensions to our first choice 11, but unfortunately down on the bench, we've had to bring up Gulehi from our under-19s. That is because, of course, Faliuaute did pick up a red card in that second leg against Real Betis. I did appeal it, but unfortunately it stood. So that was a bit of an unfortunate one, as you saw in that game yesterday. I thought there was quite a bit of cover there to also deal with that apparent one-on-one chance that the Real Betis striker did have, but apparently that's not what everyone else thought, so it did get upheld as a red card. It was a bit of a soft one, but thankfully didn't cost us too much and hopefully won't impact us too much in this game as well, with Alte only being a squad player. And to be fair, he is our fourth choice centre-back. Usually Billy Camillo is above him in the pecking order here at Lokomotive Leipzig, but we start to make our way through the pre-match interview, and here are the team sheets. There we are, as we ran through before these days, going with that 4-2-3-1 Gegenpress, the difference maker since the last time that we did take on Lons. They are going with a 4-4-2, which I'm pretty sure is the same formation that they did start all the way back in November, but their squad also doesn't look like it has too many notable names, so hopefully we can put out a good performance here yet again in the first league. That's been our real advantage here at Lokomotive Leipzig so far in the Europa League knockouts this season. We've really battered teams in the first league, so thankfully it's meant not too much pressure on us. In that second one, in early stages, we're on the front foot here. Matthias Tell gets played in behind. Down that left-hand side, finds Zoran there. Inside the box, he gets a shot off. It does take a big deflection off a Lons defender. Those guys are in the green with the black shorts. And of course, we are in our yellow with the blue, but an early corner here in our favour. Amadori at the near post. The goalkeeper very late trying to save that one, but unfortunately, Amadori can't quite hit the target. But early stages, we are well and truly on top of Lons here, so hopefully we can put the ball in the back of the net soon. Next chance for us is a free kick to Matthias Tell. Probably should be looking for a teammate from that one, but unfortunately takes on the shot directly, and it does go wide, so it is still 0-0, but based on stats, we are well and truly battering Lons at this stage. 7 shots to 0, make that 8, but unfortunately only 1 on target. Do need to start hitting the target a little bit more. Actually starting to feel like the first league against Freiburg this early. Of course, it took us until late to grab goals in that one. Another corner in our favour. It goes far post for Amadori, but yet again, he can't quite hit the target so far. Lons at the 40-minute mark, yet to do anything. Just Blome has picked up a yellow card, so he might be coming off at half-time, but that was a pretty dominant first half. Lons have done absolutely nothing, but unfortunately, only 1 shot on target and no reward for all that dominance. We're going to take off Blome here at halftime, and also Mikel Mastis is on a 6.4, but I think we'll give him some time in the second half to try and fix that ring. We'll just take off the player who is on the yellow card. We'll tell the guys they need to be a lot better in front of goal. If we don't get a goal from this game, that would be very frustrating. Hopefully that changes in the second half. As I said during the first half, it's starting to feel like the Freiburg game from back in the round of 16. We were all over them, but it took us until around about the 70-minute mark to finally grab a goal, and from there, a late double, I believe it was, to Amadori, did see us pick up a 3-0 win. Now, a couple of those players haven't improved their ratings too much. We'll take off Mastis on that 6.5, force Spalyak out on the right wing, and hopefully that helps us grab a goal in this last half hour. Still, Lons have done absolutely nothing in this game. We've got a few more shots on target, but unfortunately, nothing yet has found the back of the net. And now it's a free kick here to Lons, but thankfully, we do deal with that danger. Spalyak plays that one back to Sicker, albeit that's a pretty loose touch from him. The now it's a chance for Lons to do something here on the counter-attack, albeit Spalyak there recovers very well and wins that ball back for a searching ball there looking for Amadori. It's a bit too far out from goal though for him to let off a header, and he doesn't win the race to that ball anyway. And now Lons are back in possession just inside of our half, albeit fortunate deflection there, and we do get the ball back, and Sika finds a bit of space here down this right-hand side. It's a long highlight. Hopefully we can finally put the ball in the back of the net. Hurtado back to Sika. It now goes into Escobar in the midfield. Nice through ball there for Spaliak. Big chance, but unfortunately tried to chip the goalkeeper. He stayed upright, goes straight into his path. Still, Lons have done nothing in this game, but it is 0-0 now. A couple of our players are down to red hearts, and we have 3 subs left. So I think those are the players that are going to come off. Vochin at right back. We'll bring on Comedio at centre back in place of Osvaldo, as well as that Zoran is actually only going fairly on that 6.6. So I think instead of taking off Matthias Tell, we'll bring on Xerxes in place of Zoran. He was in quite good form in those games in yesterday's episode, and we'll see if going a bit wider in our shape as well does help us grab a goal late in this game. It has worked in the past, and now in the last 10 minutes, and it's time for us to maybe chuck Spaliak on attack. And there's a highlight that starts right off the back of that with only 10 minutes left. Thankfully, we head that one back to San Jose, but then we try and find Xerxes. He can't win that one, and Lons here. There might be a danger of them FMing us as Malejo does get in behind. He squares that one for Marco Rodriguez for his 23rd goal of the season. It's the first thing they've done all game, but they put it away. We are 1-0 down with only 10 minutes left in this first leg, and we are getting absolutely FM'd here, and it is not the time or place for that in the home leg of a Europa League semi-final. It's a good bit of counter-attacking work there off the back of that clearance from San Jose, which unfortunately didn't quite find Xerxes as he was looking for. Now making our way into the last 5 minutes of this game, and it's time for us to put all of these guys on some more positive duties where we can. Also, we might tell our guys to do some floated crosses to try and search for Amadori, and hopefully that might help us grab a late goal to at least get something from this game. If we lost it, that would be incredibly harsh, albeit now Lons do have a corner. Thankfully, Comedio will head that one away. Rodriguez on the volley. That one comes off the post, and then Malejo tries to put it home. Thankfully, was offside, and also somehow he did miss the target. Now it's time for us to just see if Xerxes on a shadow striker might do something in this game. It does not, and we have just been absolutely FM. Just look at those stats. 20 shots to 2, 5-1 on target. To be fair, we should have done a lot better than that with our shots on target. The XG 2 to 0.8, but we lose 1-0, and hopefully that does not prove too costly when we do get stuck in to that second leg. But that is a really, really rough result on us there. Certainly the better team in that game, but unfortunately did not put the ball in the back of net. We'll tell the media that in that post-match interview. Amadori was a little bit scratchy today, which is a bit unusual for him. Hopefully he fires a bit more in that second leg over in France, which is interesting because the Europa League final this season is being played at the Stade de France. Michel there, I think you might have that wrong if you look at the stats from that game. Not too sure if it was a tactical issue when we had 20 shots and the opposition only got 2 off. Might need to look at the people on the field, not me, but we suffer a 1-0 defeat in the first leg of that Europa League semi-final. An absolute FMing. We'll come back shortly, show you guys highlights from our Bundesliga clash with Hertha Berlin before hopefully we can turn it around in France and make our way through to Europa League final, which it looks like will be against Arsenal. So before we get stuck into the second leg of that Europa League semi-final off the back of that filthy FMing first up in the home league, we did take on Hertha Berlin in the Bundesliga away from home. These days, these guys are managed by Thomas Frank, and they did actually match us quite similarly in terms of stats in this game, but thankfully we finally score a goal. It is from the penalty spot at the 40-minute mark, but thankfully Matthias Tell does put that one past the Hertha Berlin goalkeeper from there, mostly on the front foot, but then at the 88-minute mark, Roll gets his head on the end of that one, puts it away in that bottom right corner. Then, deep in injury time, Ryan got forced from the field with an injury, so we did play with our left back for the later stages of this game, but thankfully, despite that, still scored a goal down that left-hand side through Tunde Musa. A big goal that too, when you look shortly at the Bundesliga table going into our final league game of the season, of course, with that situation with RB Leipzig and Wolfsburg playing each other twice to finish their seasons, but that in the end is a pretty fortunate result. But hopefully those goals do mean we can score a few more if we do get on the front foot in the second leg of the Europa League semi-final. But a little bit of a fortunate win that one, even though Hertha Berlin did grab that equaliser very, very late, but we'll take that one away from home, even if it was against the team who are now going to need some luck on the final day to get out of that relegation playoff spot. But as you can see, we make our way up to 4th on the Bundesliga table, 2 points clear of Wolfsburg. And that is because on that match week, not only did they suffer a defeat that was 1-0 away at Schalke, which was a little bit surprising, albeit Schalke aren't too bad a team to be fair. Wolfsburg have a tough run home before that. We're taking on the likes of Bayern Munich as well. But as well as that, RB Leipzig on the same day, they suffer a 2-0 defeat to Mainz. So that's really given us a chance even to potentially sneak up to 3rd on the Bundesliga table if we can win our final game of the season against second to bottom Werder Bremen, which we should be doing because that one is at home. And if we can do that, I'm pretty sure we're more or less guaranteed to make our way into the Champions League for next season because, as I've mentioned a few times, RB Leipzig and Wolfsburg, the teams either side of us, they play each other in those final 2 games of the season. So I think we're actually now in with a pretty good chance of being in the Champions League next season, as long as we get the job done over Werder Bremen. That will be coming up in tomorrow's episode. Also worth noting, Bayern Munich, unfortunately, back to being champions, albeit I suppose at least it's not RB Leipzig like it was looking like for a decent part of the season. But hopefully alongside that Werder Bremen game in tomorrow's episode, we'll also have a Europa League final and we can turn around this 1-0 deficit. Worth noting though, a couple of injuries from that previous game. Jan Horvath, that one's not too big a deal. He's not registered for the Europa League squad, but Ryan, he picked up a twisted ankle. That's why he was missing from the field for those last couple of minutes when Tunde Musa did score that goal. He will be out for 2 to 4 weeks. That was probably going to be the rest of our season. So it does mean we've had to call up young Ronnie from our under-19s to be a backup left back in behind Andrew Pittman. Also, Cosetta picked up a knock in that game, but thankfully he has recovered just in time. So a couple of injury concerns going into the second league, but thankfully just the Ryan one that does impact us, but that is somewhat offset by Arte coming back from suspension onto the bench. And also we're going to chuck Camillo at centre back because Hurtado is on a heavy workload, as are quite a few of our bench players. And to be fair, rating-wise, Hurtado hasn't actually been that great this season. There's Ronnie, our new backup left back for this one, but Hurtado actually on a lower rating than Camillo, who does come in for him. So hopefully this might be our strongest centre-back partnership going into the second league, and hopefully we can play pretty similarly to how we did in that first league at home, but this time actually put the ball in the back of the net. Looking at you guys up front, Nicolo, Matthias, Zoran, and Mikal Mastis. Hopefully this time they can score some goals, because we certainly should have done that in the first league, and then we would probably be in quite a good position going into the second league. There are Lons, they look extremely similar to what they were in that first league. This time though, they are playing in the red. I believe we are in the grey. For the second league being away from home, we'll get stuck into the action. Hopefully can get off to a good start and level things up in the second league off the back of that filthy FMing that we did suffer back at home 15 minutes in, though. We have got a couple of shots off, but yet again, nothing on target. But it does look like yet again, we are somewhat on the front foot. Also, we've seen there, Lons have picked up a couple of early yellow cards. Hopefully we can make that work in our favour. But the first highlight here, and we do have possession, Zoran plays that one forward to Escobar, just takes his time there on the ball, despite the fact he was under a little bit of pressure. Now Mastis starts to make his way forward, cuts inside, nice ball over the top there for Matthias Tell, squares it for Nicolo Amadori. He must have just been onside. He bundles it home, actually very similar to the goal that we conceded in that previous leg, but thankfully only 23 minutes in to the second leg, and we get a goal that we definitely deserved from that first leg, but it's taken us until the second one. Amadori with a simple finish there from that nice first time ball from Matthias Tell. That is exactly what we were after. Mastis there with a good ball over for his partner on the other wing, and we make it 1-0 nice and early and 1-1 on aggregate. And hopefully, now that we have picked up that goal, we can start to really open the floodgates here on that Lons defence and pick up a couple more to hopefully make our way through to that Europa League final, which will probably be against Arsenal off the back of their 5-0 win in that first league. We'll just zoom out here a little bit to make sure you can see all the action on this near side, but Blome plays that one to Mastis, who played that nice ball over to kind of set up Matthias Tell for that first goal. Still on the attack here, Mastis plays that one back to Blome. Now Sika on the edge of the box will take on a shot, and to be fair, that one actually must have gone quite close, trying to beat Dunny there at his near post. Actually goes out on the other side after hitting the woodwork, but it is still locked up at 1 all this time. But another highlight here in our favour, it is a throw-in on that far side. So we'll just zoom in, because I think I might have gone out a little bit too far before. But now we go to this near side, and Pittman yet again finds Matthias Tell in space. He gets a little bit of interference there from Lemos Freitas, already on a yellow card. To be fair, not much of a foul, but definitely interfered with him. It's a soft penalty, but it is one, and hopefully Matthias Tell can put this away like he did in that Hertha Berlin game. He does, and we've come back from 1-0 down off the back of the first leg. Bit of justice in that, because of course that was a very harsh result, and that penalty, Matthias Tell just sneaks past the Lons goalkeeper, and we make it 2-0 on the day, 2-1 on aggregate. Off the back of that, we praise our guys, and thankfully did, because there might have been a highlight in Lons' favour, and off the back of that, down the other end, a free kick to Tell, but unfortunately yet again tries to take on the shot from a little bit too far out and misses the target. But yet again, we are on the front foot, but thankfully this time actually have scored a couple of goals, one through Amadori and then one from the penalty spot. Yet again, not that many shots on target though for all our dominance. All our players out there are on decent enough ratings though, so I don't think we need to make any changes just yet, but thankfully we are in front. We'll tell our guys it's going well, capable of better, because they are still well and truly in this game. Lons, and that is a team talk that usually keeps everyone on the mark. Now Blomé picks up an early yellow card in the second half, but so far we've been well and truly on the front foot in this tie. Lons there off the back of that free kick, play a deep ball over the top, but thankfully San Jose can collect that pretty safely. Camillo plays that one out to Andrew Pittman at left back. Definitely a player we don't want to take off in this game. Now Amadori did have the ball, but loose touch there does mean that it is now Lons in position, albeit Matthias Tell wins that one back for us, but then here's a bit of a loose pass there, and Lons are back on the ball, and Apenda does somewhat get back in behind here. Now Nico on the left-hand side tries to square that one for Marco Rodriguez. He scored the goal in the first leg. He beat San Jose at his near post. Before we see the replay, we'll take off Blomé on that yellow card for Manuel, but that is a dagger blow early in the second half, just off the back of us grabbing the lead in that first half. They grab one back here, do Lons, and they make it 2-2 on aggregate. Nico was being pretty tightly marked there, and also Rodriguez, quite surprised he's actually got that on target, but it beats San Jose at his near post, and they get it back to all square with only 40 minutes left in this one. Hopefully we can find a way to bounce back. Still on the front foot, it feels like, in this game, and thankfully there's a throw in here in our favour, albeit Pittman tries to take that one deep. We don't get it back, but we eventually do on the edge of the box. Now Zoran plays that one all the way back to Osvaldo. Bit of a poor pass there, but thankfully we do keep the ball. Wastis there gets off a shot, but unfortunately straight into the hands of Danny yet again, and also he was offside. And right off the back of that, there is a goal kick here to Lons. We do somewhat lose that ball in the air, but thankfully we're able to cover it at the back. I believe that would have been through Camillo yet again, and play it back out to Pittman down that left-hand side. If he passed it to Escobar, who was being tightly marked, but thankfully start to make our way towards the opposition half. That is a terrible pass from Mastis, and now Louis Enrique does start to get in behind us here down that right-hand side. Just switches back to going the other way, tries to play a ball into the mixer, but it finds its way back out to Ballo, puts one into the mixer there for Nico Malamed. He beats San Jose yet again at his near post, and we are bottling this royally in the second half. Off the back of that Sika, not on a great rating to be fair. Neither is Camillo, so we'll bring on Vochin and Hurtado and try and shore up that defence, but unfortunately it's been a dreadful start to the second half, and all that good work we did in the first has been gotten rid of there by Lons, and they make it 2-2 on the day, 3-2 on aggregate. So maybe that result from the first leg is going to prove costly. We'll see if those substitutions though can help, we can get back on the front foot a little bit more, but Lons certainly have started off the second half strongly, just making our way up to the hour mark. Now Hurtado has picked up a yellow card, and also Zoran is down to a red heart. It's our last stoppage. Xerxes can come on for Zoran, and just looking at the options and the player ratings of those players still on the field, and I actually think we might take off Hurtado here on that yellow card. I know that might be a bit controversial, being one of our better centre-backs here at the club, but definitely don't want to go down to 10 men, so Alte, coming back from that suspension, can come on for him. There'll be all our subs used with just under a half hour left to try and get this back to 3-3 and take this one to extra time. We'll encourage the guys, and hopefully that gets us doing something. But to be fair, so far in the second half, we've done very little off the back of that good first one, and we are now about to make our way into the last 15 minutes of this game. We're going to go a bit wider like we did in the latter stages of that first league. Obviously it didn't work, but it had been working in some previous games, including that one where we did pick up a late win over Dynamo Dresden. Now Rodriguez is on the ball. He's proving to be a real handful for us in front of goal. We put some good pressure there on that Lons defence, albeit Amadori could potentially be doing more, but Lons play that one back to Dunny in goal. They've got 12 minutes to try and hold on to the scoreline and make their way through to a Europa League final. Rodriguez back on the ball here, switches sides there and picks out Blanco on that far side. Nice square there for Apendo, but thankfully that one does come off the post and Vochin can play that one back to San Jose. Hopefully that's that highlight done. Indeed it is. About to make our way now into the last 10 minutes of this game. Now it's time for us to go attacking, and also we'll put more of our players on some more positive roles as well, so hopefully that can help us grab a goal to equalise this tie, and we'll get the action back underway. Only 10 minutes left for us to try and get this back to 3-3, albeit it's a corner here for Lons, and they do get a goal. It's Kevin Dunso with his first of the season. It's so typical FM. We got FM'd in that first leg, and now a player scores his first goal of the season to make it 3-2 on the day, 4-2 overall. Now it's time for us to go to a much higher tempo, also float crosses, and while we're here, we'll get our goalkeeper to distribute quickly as well. But unfortunately, Lons have absolutely battered us here in the second half. They have another chance here from a corner. This time they go far post. Thankfully this time Blanco does put that one wide. Amadori actually gets beaten there in the air, which is a bit surprising, and Lons now getting well and truly on the front foot late in this game. Another chance there from a header. Thankfully that one is also off target, so in terms of this game they are starting to even up the stats. 3-2 on the day. Now it's time for us to really try and throw the kitchen sink here. We'll go to a higher defensive line, and hopefully that might stop them from getting another goal, and we might get on the front foot just a little bit more. Thankfully don't have to see that corner, and with only a couple of minutes left, we're 2 minutes into 5 minutes of added time. We do have a free kick. Arte plays that one forward to Malmo. We need 2 goals. Nice fortunate bounce there for Mastis, but unfortunately he can't keep it. And now it is Lons who are in position. Of course, they are looking to make a Europa League final in front of their home nations. That could be quite a big occasion for Lons. Hopefully we somehow find a way to stop that from happening, but I'm fearing that we've blown this on a couple of occasions. That home leg where we got well and truly FM'd, and also 2-0 up at half time. We've absolutely thrown this away in the second half, and they are still in position here, our Lons, with still 2 minutes left in the extra time period. Now Nico on the ball, also having a very good tie for the opposition. Now Nico makes his way inside the box. Rodriguez does get a shot off. It comes off the post. Big deflection, and thankfully we're able to just clear our lines of Lons coming home with a wet sail, and unfortunately it doesn't look like we'll be able to do enough here to make our way through to back-to-back European finals off the back of winning the Conference League last season. It looks like our journey this year does end in the semis of the Europa League. They try and play a ball there into the mixer. Osvaldo will head that one away, and now only 30 seconds left in the semi-final. We need an absolute miracle to try and score 2 goals to take this one to extra time, and indeed Lons, they just look to hold the ball late in this one around the halfway line, and they now start to make their way towards our final third. But Lons doing a good job here of controlling possession, and unfortunately a couple of things have cost us here in this tie, not least that first leg where we really should have got a similar scoreline to what we have gotten in the last couple of ties that we have played against the likes of Freiburg and Real Betis. But unfortunately somehow we came here with a 1-0 deficit, turned it around by being 2-0 up at half time, but then a terrible second half. Not really too sure what happened there. I thought the team talk I gave wasn't too bad of an option, but to be fair, over both legs, despite the fact we were the team with the better XG in both of those games, just not nearly enough shots on target, and because of that we have not scored enough goals to get past Lons in the semis of the Europa League. It's a bit frustrating, but we suffered defeat. We're out of Europe this season off the back of a 4-2 aggregate loss to Lons in the Europa League. So a pretty disappointing end to our European campaign this season here at Lokomotive Leipzig. We definitely should have got more from that first leg. That was a complete FMing. A draw from that game wouldn't have been too bad, even then though Lons did beat us in that second leg. Really, what we needed was a decent win with a comfortable margin from that first leg. Like we really should have gotten, and then a similar scoreline to what we actually got from that Lons game could have been enough to get our way through to the final, but unfortunately we blow a 2-0 lead in that second half as well. So a couple of poor moments from us there, and we are not going to be featuring in a European final in back-to-back seasons. So that will do it for today's episode. Of course, it does mean now our focus in tomorrow's episode can be on that final day of the Bundesliga season. Also, do get a little bit of money for making our way through to the semis. Just can't help but wonder what that might have been like if we did get past Lens, like I feel like we should have. I hope Arsenal bashed them, because honestly, for a team in second in League On, wasn't too impressed by them. And obviously, as expected, even though Real Sociedad did pick up a 1-0 win in the second league, it is Arsenal that Lens are going to face in the final. Hopefully, as I said, Arsenal can hand them a bit of a footballing lesson like we really should have done then. But if you enjoyed today's episode, that Europa League semi-final against Lens, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. As I said, tomorrow we'll come back and wrap up this 9th season of the Save the Final Day of the Bundesliga season. I'm pretty sure a win over Werder Bremen should be enough for us to qualify for the Champions League. So we'll play that game, hopefully get the job done, and then get stuck in to the end of season review and also see who wins the European trophies. Actually, now that I think about it, RB Leipzig, of course, were in the Conference League this season, the competition that we won last season, and they have made their way through to the final where they will take on Bournemouth. So hopefully they don't beat them, because that would mean that they join us with a Conference League title. So far, RB Leipzig are yet to win a European title, albeit Bournemouth are actually doing a pretty good job in the Premier League, albeit of late they have dropped down the table just a little bit, but still 5th in the Premier League in what is proving to be quite a tight title race over there. Not bad at all for a team like Bournemouth. Also, Southampton are up there in the mix as well, so things very interesting in the Premier League. But we'll come back tomorrow and get stuck in to the end of the Bundesliga season. Just mainly make sure we get the job done over Werder Bremen to make our way into the Champions League for next season. So until then, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.
Thought I could do this, slept through the sadness. Don't know how